Hello everyone, my name is Laura. Today I want to share a bit of my day with you. Living with depression isn't easy, but I believe that by talking about it, we can help demystify some ideas and perhaps find some hope and comfort. I'm not here to give advice, just to share my reality. 7 a.m. The alarm and the weight of waking up. The sound of the alarm pulls me from sleep, but honestly, sometimes I'd rather stay asleep. When I'm sleeping, my mind finally rests, but when the day begins, there's that weight that seems to cover my body and my thoughts. Getting out of bed is already a battle. I remember that in the past, I had a simple routine. Wake up, have coffee, and the day would naturally start. Today, each of these steps feels twice as heavy. I stay in bed for a few more minutes, or hours, depending on the day. I try to convince myself that getting up is worth it. 8:30 a.m. Putting my feet on the ground. After much struggle, I finally place my feet on the ground. I try to get up slowly, so that the discouragement doesn't knock me down. Today is one of those days when just standing up feels like a triumph. Depression is silent and sneaky. Some people see what I'm doing as laziness or a lack of willpower. They don't realize it's like carrying an invisible weight, which seems to grow heavier with each movement. But I try. 9 a.m. Breakfast with a touch of melancholy breakfast. I grab a cup of coffee, my little ritual to try to start the day. Sometimes just the aroma helps me feel there's something good. However, food doesn't taste the same, and the thought of eating seems like a challenge. While I sit at the table, I find myself lost in thought. I think about the past, about who I was before depression. This illness takes so much from us that, at times, I can't even remember what it felt like before. I try to distract myself with coffee, but the sadness is persistent, like a shadow. 10 a.m. Work or battle. Around 10, I try to start working. I work from home, which theoretically should be easier, but sometimes it's just a constant reminder of my loneliness. Work helps keep my mind busy, but I can't always concentrate. Today, for example, I start answering some emails, but quickly feel overwhelmed. Every task seems to demand monumental effort. I close my eyes for a moment, trying to center myself, and I think, today I just need to do what I can. 12 p.m. The agony of lunch break. It's lunchtime, but I don't feel hungry. I decide to eat a little, knowing I need to nourish myself. At the same time, cooking and preparing a meal feels like an energy I don't have. Depression turns every task into a major obstacle. Simple things like eating, showering, or tidying up seem hard. Those who don't go through this might never understand. But I try to remember that I need to do the minimum to take care of myself. 1 p.m. Mental exhaustion. After lunch, I go back to work, but again, concentration is almost non-existent. I think about how nice it would be to vent, to tell someone how I feel, but then comes the fear of being a burden to others. Depression has a way of making us believe we're a weight, a nuisance, but I keep it to myself, trying to fight alone, hoping that the desire to be productive will appear. It doesn't always show up, and that's something I also need to accept. 3 p.m. A release in the form of tears. After a few hours of trying and failing to be productive, the anguish takes over. I feel a tightness in my chest, a sadness without any clear reason. I end up crying. Sometimes crying is the only way to ease the pain. The tears are silent but intense. I sit alone, letting the tears fall, not knowing when they'll stop. I wish I could explain the reason for each tear. but it's as if the sadness has a life of its own, appearing out of nowhere and taking over me. 4:30 p.m. A walk to try to change the mood. When the crying finally stops, I decide to go for a walk. I put on my headphones and choose a calm playlist. Walking, even if it's just around the block, helps bring a bit of peace. During the walk, I observe the trees, the clouds, the people passing by. I try to remind myself that there is beauty in the world, that life is more than this darkness. Sometimes I can almost feel that beauty. Other times, it seems too distant. 6 p.m. Reflection and a bit of hope. Back home, I feel that the day is almost over. I know I'll probably feel the same tomorrow, but I also know that somehow I survived another day. I try to remember that even though depression is still here, I am stronger than I think. I put things into perspective and see that I managed to do small things, and for me that's already progress. It may seem insignificant to others, but for those who deal with depression, each small step is a victory. This is a day in my life. I know it doesn't seem grand, but surviving depression is, in itself, an act of courage. I hope that by sharing this, someone out there feels a little less alone